This is my Nappa 6-hit combo Saibaimen deck. 1 copy of the leader. 4 Nappa Break Cannon Unleash. 4 King Piccolo 5 seconds to Eradication. 4 King Piccolo the New Ruler. 4 Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. 4 Khalifa Skillless. 8 Saibaimen Endless Explosions. 4 Nappa Super Combo. 4 Testing the Opposition. 4 Violent Rays. 3 Goku Jr. Unison. 3 Piccolo Jr. Descent of the King Unison. 3 King Piccolo Giant Force. And 1 Heron's Lineage. So, the leader, active main, once per turn, add 1 card from your life to your hand and play up to 1 Saibaimen card from your deck and shuffle it. And our main target for this effect is Saibaimen in this explosion, which are blockers with a permanent that I can have as many copies as I want, which is why I have 8. And auto, when this card is KO'd, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 or less and KO it. So, it's good. So the fact that I can play a blocker for free is always good because that's free defense, especially against any big heavy hitters. Plus, you get a free body on board, which I would take advantage of. The leader's Awaken ability. Well, I mean, when you have 4 or less life, you may switch up to 1 of your energies to active mode and then play up to 2 Saibaimen cards from your deck and shuffle your deck in order to flip this card over, which is really nice. Because being able to untap that 1 energy is useful, because you can use that 1 energy for Violent Rays and getting 2 blockers for free just by, awakening is awesome. So that greatly increases your survival rate for a turn in which you use that. So makes him a very defensive leader, which is always good to have. Auto, when this card attacks, play up to 1 Saibaimen card from your deck, then shuffle your deck. More reasons why, we have 8 Saibaimens, because, if you use his auto, his active main, for the first 4 turns, that's already 4 Saibaimens. Then his Awaken ability to grab 2 Saibaimens, that'd be 6, right? And then when you're Awaken, every time you attack, you can play a Saibaimen. So that right there can get you to 8 Saibaimens real quick. So something to keep into account, which is why we have 8, because we will be grabbing as many of them as possible. Deck thinning, deck winning, right? So this helps us thin out our deck. So when we draw from card effects like Piccolo Jr., we'll be drawing into our other key cards. Then this has a auto when one of your Saibaimen cards is KO. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and it gets negative 10k power for the turn. So that's useful. Obviously, when you use your Saibaimen to block, you'll get their auto and then you get the leader's auto, and that could potentially help you get rid of 2 cards. So more potential defense from that alone. And the active main, once per turn, look at up to 7 cards on top of your deck to add up to 1 red Vegeta or Nappa card with an energy cost of 4 or less among them and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. If you look through it, if you added a card to your hand from this effect, choose 1 card from your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. Good targets for this effect would be like the Saibaimen. Put them back, put them at the bottom deck, because you can always get them back out through the effect of the leader's, auto when he swings, right? So that's something you can consider. And then, of course, our main targets for this effect is Nappa Break Cannon Unleash, because he is a red 4 cost or less Saiyan, and Nappa Super Combo, because it is a 4 or less red Saiyan. That's Nappa. So we have 2 Nappas in here, so we have 8 targets for the leader's active main, which is really nice. And of course, Nappa Break Cannon Unleash plus the Super Combo synergizes very, very well because of his double strike dual attack. So you swing with it, use some Nappa Super Combo to get him to 40k plus power in the first attack. Then he'll restand, the Nappas hit the field, after you combo with them, and then you can swing on the second time, and then you use the Nappas on the field to combo and get this to 40k plus the second swing. So obviously, searching these cards out so you can synergize them together for your final push. Really nice, simple, basic strategy we can take advantage of. Plus any extra cards you draw from like Piccolo Jr.'s ability and the life that you take. So you should have a pretty thick hand by the time you go for game with Nappa, Break, Cannon. So he's one of your finishers, but not your only finisher. We do have King Piccolo, Giant Force. We also have King Piccolo's 5 seconds to eradication to help you finish out the game. And to help us go wide, we do have stuff like King Piccolo, the new ruler, because if you have a Unison, play him out for free on top of whatever else you play. So you could potentially play a Nappa, Break, Cannon, Unleash, right? Play King Piccolo, the new ruler, and then, go with the attack of the Nappas, and then use the Nappas to power up your Nappa. And then afterward, because just 30k double strike is good enough, so you can use like one Nappa for the first swing, use another Nappa from the hand for the second swing, so that we get both Nappas in play. And then when you swing with King Piccolo, use the 2 Nappas in play for King Piccolo to make him a 40k double strike, whose attack can't be blocked by a blocker. So that way, you would have had 2 30k double strike swings, and then a 40k double strike swing as your last attack. So that we have 6 potential damage all in one turn. So that's strategy you can use for late game, to end the game. And we got another ability that the Nappa Cannon has is his once per turn. If there are a total of 6 or more battle cards with an energy cost of 1 in your battle area and drop area, when this card attacks, it gets an extra 10k power for the turn. So it'll be a 30k, for the duration of the turn. And then choose up to 3 of your opponent's battle cards and KO them, which is nice to have. More reasons why we have Saibaimen, since they're all 1-drops. And we also have Khalifa, which is also 1-drop. So we have 12 1-drops in the deck that will help us, be able to get the 6 or more that we need for Nappa, Break, Cannon, at least, so that we can get him stronger. So getting him at 30k, and then using a Nappa in a super combo, making him a 40k double strike on the first swing, then 40k on the second swing, and then using the 2 Nappas for the King Piccolo on the last, third swing, your third attack for the turn. So you have 3 40k double strikers swinging your opponent in a single turn. It's always nice, especially if it's a turn 4 play. So the synergy with that stuff. Then we got the King Piccolo 5 seconds to eradication. Has deflect and barrier. Oh yeah, Nappa has deflect, so that's something. Sorry. We have King Piccolo 5 seconds to eradication, which has deflect, barrier, and double strike. It's 20k. Has a permanent if your layer card is red, your opponent can't block this card's attack. Auto, once per turn. If your layer card is red, when this card attacks, choose up to 1 of your red unisons and give it a marker. So you can use this on your Piccolo Jr., the Son of the King, or your King Piccolo Giant Force. And then, second auto, add 1 card from your life to your hand. When this card's attack is negated, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So anytime your opponent uses the counterattack or even a skill in general that has the ability to negate this card's attack, you can burn your opponent for 1 life by taking a life. So this has the potential to help you essentially make your opponent lose 2 life. Definitely will help you counter testing the position, for example, in cards like this and sparking negates, because those types of cards require your opponent to take a life, and then because they negate this card's attack, they have to take another life. So that's 2 life they can lose just by trying to spark and negate this card's attack. So it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't scenario, which is always good to have your opponent in. Always make the game easy for yourself and hard for your opponents. Piccolo Jr., of course, when you have a red unison with 3 or more markers, you can play this card for free, but you can only play one of him per turn. And auto at the end of your turn, send him to the warp. He gets 5, since the leader is red, he gets a 5k boost. So it'll make for the duration of, well, just a 5k boost, so it'll be a 20k double strike, and your opponent can't block his attack. So we got 8 unblockable attackers in this deck, which is nice. And Nappa technically is the 12th unblockable because if his first attack is blocked, he can always swing again, and so technically unstoppable. Same goes for King Piccolo Jack Force, which has also dual attack. So we got a good amount of cards that can help us bypass opponents' negates, which is always important to be able to do so, especially in this day and age. Then we got Kaioken Goku, our leader is red. Deflect auto when you play this card from your hand. Choose all your opponent's battle cards with 20k power or less and KO them. Active main, pay 2 red. If your leader card is red and you place this card from your hand to the drop area, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore and bury, and it gets minus 25k power for the turn. So there's some barrier hates right there. And board wipe. Khalifa skill is 10k. She is for the effect of Goku Jr. Unison's -1 ability. So we can get 10k body on the board and swing as soon as turn 1, which is part of our 6-hit combo, which I'll explain soon. Of course, the Saibaimen, they're blockers. I can have as many copies, and I can KO something that's 1 cost or less when they get KO'd. Nappa Super Combo, leader card is red or green at the end of the battle in which this card was comboed from your hand. Play this card from your drop area. Testing the opposition, counterattack. If your leader card is mono red, which it is, negate the attack, play up to 1 Saibaimen token. And the token will be a 5k power, 0 cost, 5k combo, and a blocker. So you can potentially stop 2 attacks just off of this 1 card. And it has the permanent, if your life is 5 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding 1 card from it to your hand instead of paying its cost. This makes it useful if you're in a scenario where you're tapped out, but at least you're not out, right? You're not defenseless, which makes that card busted. These cards are definitely better than the old Sparking Negates. Debatable in some situations. Dimension Magic still is powerful, but these are definitely really good. Free negates. Then we got Violent Rays, of course, our Floodgate negate. Counter attack, leader card is red, negate the attack. You may choose 1 card from your hand discarded. If you do choose one of these 2 abilities, your opponent can't attack with battle cards with 20k power or more for the turn, or your opponent can't attack with unisons with 20k power or more for the turn. Typically, you choose the battle card effect. A Goku Jr. Vegeta Jr. Unison. We use it for its -1 ability. Play up to 2 skillless battle cards with an energy cost of 1 from your deck or drop area for your deck if you look through it. Our main target for that is Khalifa skillless. Then we got the Piccolo Jr. and Descendants of the King. Has the auto when your opponent activates a counter skill. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with 15k power or less and KO it. And this is not a once per turn, so if your opponent plays like a counter attack and then counterplay, then you can trigger this effect twice in that turn. And of course, this can trigger in either player's turn, so you can definitely take advantage of that. Especially if you're in a scenario where your opponent attacks with something, and then you're like, opposition, testing that opposition to try to negate their attack, but then they counter, which is a counter skill, right? So if they counter, then you can trigger your Piccolo Jr.'s auto and KO something that's 15k or less, which could potentially be the card that we're attacking you with in the first place, so you end up stopping their attack anyway, so their counter kind of becomes a little pointless in that scenario, right? So that kind of stuff. And has a +1 ability where you draw a card, which is nice, draw power to add to the deck, because the deck the leader doesn't really draw, so you gotta have some draw power in deck. So here's one way to draw. Plus, its draw ability is a +1 ability, which means it helps keep him in play longer. Plus, it helps trigger the effect of your King Piccolo, the new ruler's ability to play for free. So you can, as soon as turn 2, be able to play this, do its +1 ability, so you can draw a card and then drop this bad boy, or at least one of them, on that turn and swing and go double strike. 20k double strike. Your opponent can't block. All that good stuff right there as soon as turn 2. And still later on we get another copy late game, you know, do the King Piccolo Jr. New Ruler, Nappa Break Cannon Unleash, Nappa Super Combo Strategy, and go in for 6 damage at turn 4. And then we got the -2 ability. Choose up to one of your red battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less. Choose all your opponent's battle cards with power less than or equal to the chosen card and KO them. And you gain this card gains Rejuvenate. So our main target for this effect, you know, this definitely has synergy with it, will be King Piccolo, King Piccolo, the new ruler, because he is a 3-drop, and he'll be a 20k, so that's our strongest for this effect. Second strongest is, you know, Kaioken Goku being a 15k. You know, Nappa can be used for the effect. He only does 10k. Khalifa, same thing, only do 10k or less, but you know, options. But our strongest is our King Piccolo, the new ruler, for that effect. We already have Kaioken Goku for board wiping, so we're good on that part. But we have a good amount of board control, you know, through our Saibaimen, through our Piccolo Unison, through our Kaioken Goku. So we should have a good amount of board control. Then we have King Piccolo Giant Force, critical dual attack. So it's very useful being able to attack twice. He's 19k, which comes in handy because in a certain situation where you're trying to get under our raise, so he comes in handy in that situation. He has a -2 ability where you choose up to one of your red leader cards, and it gets a +5 power, plus 5k power until the start of your next turn. So he essentially Senzu beams, so he helps make your leader 20k during the opponent's turn, just by -2, which is nice. So it increases your defense. You play him, do his -2, and then just start swinging. And you know, if you don't end up ending your opponent in that turn, at least you increase your leader's defensive capabilities by making it 20k, as well as being able to use the leader's ability to play out, you know, Saibaimen blockers to greatly increase your defenses. So that way, you can always try to get that extra turn to do more attacks. Because the more turns you have, the more chances you have of winning. And of course, the less damage you take per turn, the better. So that way you can stay in the game long enough to win. Or lose, whichever one happens, right? But more often than not, you should win more than lose if you can stay in the game longer. And he has the active main, -4 active main ability, which is pay 4 red, X amount. If you leave your card red, which it is, deal X damage to your opponent. In order to play this card in one turn, and to deal 2 damage, you'll need 10 energy. But if you want to do one damage, you only need 9 energy. This leader is not a untapped 2 energy leader; it's a tap 1 energy leader plus you get the 2, you know, blockers, which is nice. The fact that it does put up blockers is useful because you could set up a scenario where you could play this like on turn 5, right? Play this on turn 5 for like 4 energy. That way, you know, you can keep some, you know, like I said, yeah, turn 5, play this for 4, so I have 1 energy up, so you can try to use it for violent raise. And of course, you're using your leaders, you know, abilities, especially if you haven't unawakened yet. If you haven't awakened yet, you know, you can take advantage of, you know, tapping an energy and being able to put up blockers to help, you know, obviously protect the Piccolo Giant Force, because you know you want to make sure, because you know he doesn't have plus ability for counters, right? So once you put 4 markers on them, which is what you're gonna need for his -4 ability, you gotta protect them from taking any damage, so that way he still has the -4. He has the 4 markers, so when it's your next turn, on turn 6, you can obviously play, -4 and tap 6, 4 red energy and 2 of anything, just to deal 2 damage to your opponent to end out the game. So this is part of why we have it here as a alternate win con. With the way this deck works, with the blockers and testing the opposition and violent rays, this deck is pretty defensive, which is nice. So I'll try to make it a lot more like Boma. Try to make the deck function a little bit more like Boma, so that way you can stall long enough to try to get to turn 6. So obviously turn 5 you'll want to drop this, and then turn 6 try to use this for to burn your opponent for 2 for gain, which shouldn't be too hard because, like I said, this is a 6-hit combo deck. So turn 1. So okay, one last thing before we get to the combo. Heroines, then you don't have to say much other than for 1 energy, active battle ability, you can take a battle card 7 costs or less. So obviously it's a generically good card, so it's a really good one-of. Could definitely help you, steal another turn or snatch something. You can use it defensively, like I said, when you play this for 4 energy, you still have 1 energy up. If you have this, and your opponent's like trying to attack this, like double striker, triple striker, or anything, you could be like, all right, for 1 energy, play this, steal that battle card, and now my unison is safe, so unison can stay in the game a little bit longer, which is always important. And then, okay, now the 6-hit combo, which you'll need a Goku Jr. Unison, of course, and a Nappa super combo. The more Nappa super combos you have out, obviously the more damage you can do. But we're going with the idea that you just have 1 Nappa, 1 Goku Jr. Unison. So what you'll do is you will charge a red energy, play the unison, swing with the unison because it is a 10k, then do the -2 ability to bring out 2 Khalifas out onto the field. Right? Then you can swing with the Khalifas. So that's 3 damage right there. Then swing with the leader, and then swing with the leader. So that right there, 4 damage. Then use the leader's active main ability to take a life, add it to your hand, in order to play a Saibaimen from your deck onto the field. Then swing with the Saibaimen, using Nappa super combo and combo with it. If your opponent if you feel your opponent's going to awaken, you can obviously take the card you added to your hand from Nappa's ability and combo it as well to try to get this to at least 19k and hit your opponent. So that right there would be the 3, 4 plus 5. It's the 5th hit, and then Nappa will obviously hit the field. Or, from the drop, or play from the drop. Then you can swing with it, combo another 5k from your hand to get them to at least 15k, and that's your 6th hit turn 1, just off of 2 cards. Your super combo and your unison, and you can do with your leader, of course. You can do potentially 6 damage on turn 1, so there's the 6-hit combo. And of course, it's a Saibaimen deck. Saibaimen for added defense. And of course, we do got some burn, so should have added burn into the name of the deck, but that's alright. That's the end of the video.